Hello everyone, and welcome back to my home here in East Tennessee. I wanted to do an update on my Vanda that my sponsor, the Orchid Supply Store, sent me about 3 weeks ago and share with you all what I decided to do with it. After a lot of thought, I decided to place it in a slotted orchid pot with layers of bark and moss. As you all know, I wanted the simplest setup that I could possibly have with this Vanda and not have to water and soak it every day. Vandas can be water and fertilizing consuming and also time consuming when you have to water them every day. So I decided that with this setup, with this very young Vanda, I could get by with watering it twice a week, and it's worked. I use about 6 to 8 ounces of water, actually fertilizer, twice a week. And as it gets larger and I repot it in a larger orchid pot, I'm hoping that I will be able to fertilize it about once a week. I wouldn't have tried this with a large, mature Vanda that is used to being soaked every day for the past year or two bare rooted. It's much easier to acclimate a Vanda to media when it's young, like this one. So when Ken from the Orchid Supply Store told me this was a young Vanda, I told him that was my preference. So I took it out of its tiny little basket that it came in, and I soaked the roots really well, and I just cut the plastic basket away inch by inch until all the roots were free. Just so you know, that's a time-consuming and very tedious process, but I'm so glad I did it. When I say time-consuming, it took me about an hour and a half because I didn't want to damage any roots. I listened to a lot of really good upbeat music for a long time while I cut it away. When I do things that require a lot of patience with an orchid, I put on some good music to listen to and keep it upbeat. That's my #1 tip to growing good orchids. So let me show you how I repotted this orchid after I got it out of its little basket. This is a 5-inch slotted pot from the Orchid Supply Store that Ken sent me. And the bottom layer is my new favorite Fir Bark and New Zealand spaghnum moss. There's 5 layers in all. In other words, it's Fir Bark, moss, and I topped it off with the Fir Bark. And the moss layers keep everything hydrated without having to be watered too often. When I first repotted it, I watered it every 2 days, about the first week. The pot became very lightweight, indicating that the Vanda had soaked up all the water from the moss layer. So I kept a really close eye on it the first week and a half. So I've been lifting this pot practically every day ever since I repotted this for the past 3 weeks to make sure that it's hydrated. And then yesterday when I watered it, it had been 4 days. So that is progress. I'm fertilizing it at 300 parts per million every time I water right now. So that's about 600 parts per million each week. And since the moss is so water and nutrient retentive, I believe it's going to do great. The orchid looks happy. There's no sign of nutrient deficiency or dehydration. This orchid was taken very good care of before I got it. That in and of itself can determine the ease of care on you, the orchid grower, after it comes under your care. So I highly recommend the Orchid Supply Store's orchids. This one has been top notch. The outer pot that I have this one in makes the care a whole lot easier too. It's one of those plastic pots that you can buy at garden centers with the elevated bottom. And it allows you to water, and the excess goes into this reservoir. You can see the water underneath that little reservoir there. I just make sure that there's not too much water in here and that it rises. I don't want it to rise above that reservoir. I don't want the orchid sitting down in water, but I like the water down in that reservoir because it creates a humid environment for the orchid. I have almost all my orchids in this setup, and it makes watering just so much easier. You don't have to drain your outer pots all the time, and the orchids love the added humidity too. For right now, I have this Vanda in my dining room in front of a western-facing window. It's very similar to the light that's in the western-facing portion of the sunroom, so it will acclimate to the sunroom very easily. I also have it under a halo LED light with my new cattleyas that I got from the Orchid Supply Store. And this is what that setup looks like. This is a 6-inch halo LED, and I have it on high. And right now I have it on high for 12 hours a day because these are very young plants and I want to give them a really good boost of light since they're so young to get them growing. So I'll keep you all updated on this little Vanda. Well, it's small for now anyway. And thanks to all of you who have shared with me how you grow your Vandas. It was very helpful and interesting for me to read all the ways that you grow them, and thank you for sharing your experiences. That makes me and everybody else just a better grower. And I'll place a link below to my sponsor, the Orchid Supply Store, where this beautiful little Vanda came from. And remember to use my coupon code Amy when you place an order to get a 12% viewers discount. And before I end this video, I'd love to say the blessing over you, your families, and your plants. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn His face toward you and grant you His peace. You all make it a great day, and we'll talk to you next time.